All right, I got 8 minutes on this timer here. Let's see if I can convey this concept in 8 minutes. I had a dream many years ago. The details are unimportant, but the message was cease the misuse of insight. And what that meant to me specifically was for me to stop doing this thing that I would do all the time, which was as soon as I would have some kind of realization or some kind of understanding about something, the first thing I would do would be to, well, back when I had Facebook, the first thing I would do would be to post it on Facebook. And then once I got off of Facebook, I would text all my friends that whatever insight that I had had. And then I just move on with my life. And it turned out that I realized from that dream and the message from that dream that the reason I would do that was it was a response to sort of prove how smart I was, right? And the irony is that I never actually would really internalize the insights. So again and again, I would have this insight and I would post something thoughtful about it and then just forget. It was hilarious. And then another one was around the language of sacrifice, which I bristle at, right? Anybody telling me to sacrifice anything. Because it feels so self negating, ironically, if you know me. But anyway, the message was that I needed to sacrifice certainty. And that one was tougher to figure out, but I realized that in my interactions with people, it was important to me, compulsively so, to have a more or less correct model of what their unconscious motivations might have been. Let's set aside the fact that I can't know that and how shitty it is to think that you know what's deeply motivating someone at any given time. But the fact is, I used to have that. And so I had to sacrifice that. So there is cease the misuse of insight, for one, to sacrifice certainty. And then later on came do not defend yourself. And all three of those things joined together pointed to something about my interaction style within certain relationships that led me to understand that most of my conversational style in those contexts was about defense of a projected image. I needed to be seen as knowing everything. And not in a way that's like, I know everything, I control you, but like in a way that made it seem like that nobody could teach me anything, that I was not wrong, that I had nothing to learn from that other person. And that was the habitual approach to everything I did and the way I thought and talked. And no, I'm not coming through the speakers. That's a relief. I don't want anybody to be hearing this broadcast very loudly. Anyway, 3 minutes, 45 seconds left. So I was in conversation with a friend. And we were talking. And I made a statement. I don't know how effective this anecdote's going to be in without going into detail about everything, but I found myself getting angry at something someone was saying. And I made a statement that pushed that person over the edge. And they became furious with me. And they started screaming at me, screaming and yelling. And this was a good conversation, ultimately. We ended up okay. And the screaming and yelling was real. but it was safe. And I was being vented upon, but I was also the trigger of the vent. And the words that came out of this person's mouth were, "It's not about you, Dave." And in that moment, it hit me like a lightning bolt. Oh, cease the misuse of insight, sacrifice certainty, and do not defend yourself. And I laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. Maybe you've seen the optical illusion of a vase that when you look at it a different way, you now see two faces, right? Or you're looking at a line drawing of a cube and you can flip it back and forth in your brain. That's very much what this was like, actually. Oh, it's not about me. It's when people are talking to me, or when people were talking to me, when I was misusing the insights, when I was hanging on to the certainty and then using it to quote unquote defend myself. The defense was taking the form of trying to impress them because I felt like I needed to be impressive to be worth anything. And when I was doing that unconsciously, every conversation I had with anybody was about me. And it was literally the most difficult thing to see. And I saw it in that moment, and it was completely hilarious, and it still is. But the really pernicious thing about it is it's difficult to remember. And I would even find myself forgetting the lesson. And so it's one that I repeat to myself quite a bit, actually. And I got 37 seconds left, which is pretty cool to be able to wrap that up for my first time at trying to do something like this. So, anyway, that's a thing that happened.